Hello, 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 and welcome to the first ever episode of Chapter Corner. My name is Dewey Conway. I am one half of the writing team for the Tenacious Tale of Tanna the Tendersword. I see some folks in the chat. Hey, everybody. I know all you guys, and Diana too. Hey, welcome. Tonight, I'm going to be reading a chapter out of the Tenacious Tale of Tanna the Tendersword, which is the book that Bill and myself co-wrote. It's a middle grade fantasy book, and kind of what's coinciding with all of this is that we just have our little spunky little tale just happened to be chosen as a semifinalist for the Spiffbo X uh, indie writing competition, and so super excited that happened. And so I'm going to go ahead and start off the chapter corner with our own book. Chapter corner is going to be a series that we have, hopefully, where we can spotlight authors reading live the first chapters or a chapter they're choosing from their written work. There's something different about reading live versus pre-recording. So, with that said, I see a whole bunch in the chat. Super excited about that. I am going to say though, kind of like when you're reading a book to your classroom and you have the kids in front of you. I won't be able to stop what I'm reading and answer questions, so I will answer all questions or review the comments at the very end. But I guarantee that. But until then, let's sit back, have a snack, enjoy the tale. And this is from our book, The Tenacious Tale of Tanna the Tendersword. And I will be reading chapter one. Here we go. All right. Chapter one, Finding a Quest in the Pigtown Sloop. The town's welcome sign should read, "If you love pigsties, you've come to the right place." Because chronicler in training Galdefort Quilpin found himself unapologetically bumped into a mud puddle by a hollering child in epic pursuit of a slippery pink piglet. "Don't mind me," Galdefort grumbled at the oblivious girl. The cold ache of pig muck soaked through his standard issue monastic gloomy blue tunic and worked its way under his turtle shell pack. After an already annoying morning, if one more thing happened to him today, he would explode into 1,000 angry bits. "Posy?" A pig's farmer's wife lumbered after the fleeing girl from between two small shack like homes. "Get back here and apologize to this poor boy." Too late. The girl and her piglet were long gone. "Oh, that girl is something else. Here, now, let me help you." "I'm fine," he snapped, waving her away with a muddy, dismissive hand. "Nonsense," she said, leaning toward him with a red, checkered, goo-stained rag. "Won't take but a minute." A flurry of images went through Galdefort's head of all the things she had cleaned with that rag. Sticky tables, food-caked pots and pans, filthy little girls and their equally filthy piglets. The chronicler in training's eyes went wide. "Stay, thy dirty rag! I'll have you know I'm 13 summers old and quite capable of handling myself, thank you." "Well, aren't you, grumpy little spud? Too good for us hard-working folk, eh? Fine, then." The local pork tender returned her focus on the now disappeared child and her equally disappeared piglet. "Posy, get back here right this minute or I'll—" The farmer's wife's words trailed off as she trotted away. She had it all wrong. Galdefort had no problem with hard-working folk. He just didn't like the idea of a rag filled with a week's worth of ickiness being wiped all over his face. He snorted and grabbed at the slip of paper halfway submerged in the filthy street, pursing his lips in complete irritation. It was an urgent message from the assistant abbot in charge of their first quest, informing him he was past due on an update, and now it was soaking up the sloop. This mess was not how he imagined his first chronicle would start. It was all because his aspiring would be champion, Tanna the Tendersword, had decided to choose the most out of the way, dingiest, dirtiest, smelliest pig town to start her first quest for the champion's beginner class at the Edric Academy of Valiant Adventurers. He swiped away grime from his tunic and glared at the sign overhead. Welcome to Appin's Way, it said. A treasure trove, a quiet retort, and luscious farmlands. The only thing this rotten dirt hole has to offer is pigs. Bah! A good chronicle that'll make. The portentous pig quest of Tanna the Tendersword. I'll be the laughing stock of the whole scriptorium. Ah! My inkstaff! The once pristine inkstaff floated atop the mud, its white feathered writing quill inserted at its side, splotched with unnameable gunk. The curved top made a thick slurp as he lifted it up, a spotted pig looking on as it munched its grimy meal. There he is. Oh, poor Galdefort. Can this day, he began to mutter as he wiped the gunk from the precious staff. All chroniclers had an inkstaff, but his was special. It had been gifted to him when he joined the Academy's scriptorium by the most famous chronicler in all of Handover, his Aunt Elda Quillpen. Can this day get any worse? Then, as if answering his question, the sound not unlike blaring claxons warning of an impending storm trumpeted in the short distance. Galliford! Where are you? A tall, gangly girl with a red braid under an oversized, battered helmet yelped through cupped hands as she rounded one of the town's fenced, smelly pigsties. When her green eyes spied him in his miserable state, she galloped down the main street of Appin's Way toward him like a herd of horses, a river-wide smile upon her face and an old notched sword clanking at her side like a banging drum. Galliport! The girl skidded to a stop. A shower of gravel and mud spraying the chronicler in training, knocking him into the goop. I've been looking all over for you. And I've been looking for you, Gallifort gurgled through muddied lips. We received a letter from the Academy. Darnus wants an update. Gallifort, I did it. Can you believe it? She grabbed his hands and pulled him up out of the mud, dancing with him like a used rag doll. I found my first quest. Gallifort yanked his hands away, then motioned for her to calm down. You? A quest? She bobbed her head, answering yes. Oh, praise the three scribes. Why didn't you say so? As your official chronicler in training, let me write this down, this momentous occasion. He reached for his belt book, standard issue scroll paper bound in a black book attached to his belt by a short gold chain, to write her next words. He plucked the filthy quill from his inkstaff. It was called so because the staff was always filled with a black ink, and positioned himself to write, a drop of ink on his pen's tip at the ready. Now then, what's his quest? Tanna the Tendersword and all would-be champions began as Tenderswords, bounced on both feet and clapped her hands together giddily. I, Tanna, was told by a farmer and his daughter to seek out the old lady who wanders by the flower shop. She might have a quest for me. Gallifort frowned like a dry gulch carved across his muddy face. You haven't actually gotten a quest yet? She shook her head, but this time answering, no. The chronicler in training threw up his arms. That's how this day can get worse. But Gallifort, it is a quest, she said. But Gallifort notched his quill back into the inkstaff. Well, more like a request for a quest. Today you shall at long last start writing my chronicle. Hearken and take heed. Tanna placed her fist on her hips, taking a heroic pose as her light chainmail clinked against her notched sword. I was out following my questing sense when this group of farmers approached me. They looked like they'd been in battle, I tell you. Their clothes were tattered, faces stained with dirt. What? Why aren't you writing this down? Write this down, like every other farmer in this pig town? Sycophants, Tanna. He lifted the academy letter covered in muck. This letter is from assisting Abbot Darnicus. We've three. These farmers were tired, I tell you, Tanna continued, contrasting his gloom and doom mood with sunshiny cheeriness, weary from the toils of adventure. I asked if I might aid them in their needs, like a true champion. Her helm wobbled when she moved her head. They said, "We may have a quest for you, girlie, but first show thy mettle by defeating this beastly mound of dirt. It perplexes us greatly." Beastly mound of dirt? Yes, and a beastly mound it was. My shovel had great difficulty in breaking its battle hardened shell, but although the clumps fought against me with great fervor, I moved it and declared victory as I spread the reluctant soil across the field. The farmers cheered as they sat on their water barrels, praising my victory. Okay, I'm going to be serious for a minute. Can you be serious for just a moment and listen to me? Tanna looked down at him and ran a finger across her lips as if she was zipping them shut. She was taller than him by a few inches, even though she was a summer younger than he. We've been here in this pig hole for 11 days. And in that time, you've milked a cow. He began counting things off on his stubby fingers, gathered eggs, scooped pig sloop, pulled carrots, and repaired a grassy roof, all with the promise of a quest. Yet after all these chores, not a single guidebook approved quest ever appeared. And here I sit with a blank belt book and a letter from Darnicus demanding an update. Hitching up his turtle shell pack, he stomped away from his would-be champion, wondering for the umpteenth time why High Abbot Abelard had paired him with Tanna. When he'd enrolled in the Edric Academy scriptorium in hopes of becoming a chronicler, he'd always envisioned being paired with a great would-be champion, someone to be the source of a fantastic story. A chronicle so revered throughout all of Handover that it would never be forgotten, like Elder Quilpins were. "Ah, I'm making connections," Tannis said. "And that's how connections?" He cut her off, blowing raspberries with his lips. "Pff, at this rate, you'll never achieve your first piece of Elmstone, much less all three." Her face drooped. "I won't? You'll always be a Tendersword. No new title, no Champions Elmstone, and me, no first Chronicle. I'm doomed." Her face brightened again. But you didn't let me finish. The three scribes shone down on me with their holy light, for when I was done with that beastly mound of dirt, there they were." "Who? Weren't you listening? This is why you should be writing this down. The two I told you about, the father and the daughter. Come on." She grabbed him by the wrist and dragged him into town, running faster than his short legs could handle. Appin's Way wasn't large by any means. Like most farming communities in Handover, this particular slice of pork rearing was nothing more than a bramble of small single story homes and lots of fenced pigsties. The roofs were all thatched, and the stench of mud and pig was a perfume not enjoyed by most. There were only a handful of roads, and each of them were made of dirt and cobbled stones, which meant in a rainy season, muck was everywhere, all squishy and annoying. Despite being lugged halfway through Appin's Way, as well as his trouserless legs coated in dirty brown muck, Tanna finally slowed enough for Galabort to collect himself, huffing and puffing. She stopped and pointed toward a dirt field, fresh and spread nicely. Two weed-thin farmers eyed them from a distant fence, perhaps thinking of getting the would-be champion to till the new dirt as well. "They were just standing there, waiting for me," Tanna said. "My questing sense told me they needed me, so I went to them asking, 'Need you a chair? I need you a champion, fair folk of the farm.'" The father looked at his daughter and asked, "This the one?" And the little girl said, "She's the one." And I couldn't believe it. I had a quest. "I assume you're not finished. So what happened next? For the Chronicle, if I ever actually write one," he muttered under his breath. A loud snort echoed from between neighboring houses, both squat and square, thatched roofs and rotting wood. A hairy pink snout appeared from the darkness between said homes, and Galdefort eyed it closely, for he would not be fooled twice by tomorrow's breakfast sausages. Tannis skipped along the muddy cobblestones, gleefully ignoring the shifty pig. "They told me to seek out the old lady who feeds chickens by the flower shop. Old Lady Sage is her name. She has a request of me, a request for a quest." "Old Lady Sage? That sounds fishy." "Not fishes, Galdefort. Chickens. She feeds chickens. Come on." She bolted off. "Slow down," Galdefort said, rushing after her as he looked back at the pig who emerged from the alley. Behind were two more. "They're everywhere," he thought. "Vile swine." After passing unnamed walkways between the pigsties and farmers scurrying about, he caught up to her as she stood at the front door to a flower shop in the center of the marketplace. There were a few such stores, like a blacksmith, a grocer, and a healer. Four buildings down, the center plaza stood full of pig farmers, and in the center of the plaza, the town bell rang 6 times. Because of the chiming, the shopkeeper moved her flower filled buckets inside for the night. She kept looking up at the sky toward the setting sun. Excuse me, Madam Flower Keeper, Tanna said, bowing. Do you know where I can find an old lady who feeds the chickens? I was told she frequents your fine establishment. What are you children doing out? The shopkeeper snapped, glaring at them with one bulging eye. She pointed to the darkening sky. Didn't you hear the 6 chimes? Not safe after dark since old what's-her-name moved back to the forest. Godiford exchanged a nervous glance with Tanna. They had heard the stories of what's-her-name, a fearsome witch, the townsfolk said, one with evil powers who liked to enslave animals and eat children. The people in Appin's Way refused to even say her name. Bartleby Bent, the Haven House master and owner of the Crackpot Inn, where the questers, or students from the academy, were staying, had told them about not being out after 6 chimes because a purplish mist seeped into town after dark. The fog blight, they called it, came from what's-her-name's evil magic, rolling through the town, looking for her next victim. Yellowford had told Bartleby it was just superstitious foolery, but the pig farmer's fear still made him think twice about being out. Yes, Tanna started again, but I was told that she feeds the I ain't seen no one, Flower Keeper interrupted. Now, go back to the inn before it gets too late. She grumbled as she picked up a big bucket of sunflowers when suddenly the yellow petals turned brown, resembling the edges of burnt paper. See, it started already. Don't be out after dark. With a slam of the door, the two questers stood alone in the growing darkness as the blacksmith, the grocer, and the healer had all closed up their shops as well. Don't mind her, dears, an old crackly voice said. They spun to find a withered ancient lady sitting upon a wooden crate beside the flower shop. She was surrounded by fat, white chickens that pecked the ground as she tossed seeds. The fog blight makes everyone act miserable like that. Godifort leaned close. He leaned close to Tanna. Where does she come from? Are you old Lady Sage? The lady nodded with affirmation, and Tanna squealed with excitement. See, Godifort, I told you. My quest is here. Wait a caliberry picking minute, Godifort harumphed. Where did you come from? You weren't here a minute ago. This is highly unusual. He's so grumpy, old Lady Sage said, while Tanna nodded vigorously. The wrinkled corners of the old woman's eyes scrunched as she smiled, patting Galdefort on his head. Dear Elda always said you were a grumpus, inquisitive but cranky. Might make a good chronicler some day, she said. The grandmotherly woman sprinkled seeds from her lace-lined apron. But I've never seen such a muddy chronicler before. Well, it's not like I fell in the mud hole on purpose. Galdefort paused, his normally squinty brown eyes spreading as wide as they could open, which wasn't much. Wait, you knew Aunt Elda? Of course, dear, the old woman mummed nonchalantly. How else would I have found you and your champion? It's not like Appin's Way is a happening place for champions and chroniclers. See, said Tanna, poking his shoulder. She knows Elda. We have to trust her. But how do we know you're telling the truth and not some spy from the academy to fail us? Because Elda said, Sage, find my nephew Galdefort when he begins the chronicle for Tanna the Tendersword's first quest. It's going to be a tenacious tale. You'll know him by his bowl of black hair and perpetual grimace. That sounds like you all right, Galdefort, Tanna exclaimed as she slapped Galdefort on the back, acting like this was all perfectly normal. Madam, what dost thou request of me? Galdefort cringed at Tanna's use of high, hand-over speak. Nobody has spoken like that for hundreds of years, but she insisted on it, said it made her sound heroic. He was still trying to figure out how to avoid it in his chronicle. Old Lady Sage hopped off the crate and wiped the remaining seeds from her lap before scooping up one of the fat chickens. It protested with a screeching squawk that made Galliford step back. Your quest, good champion, is to seek out the Wildcrafter. Wink is her name. It is she who will give you your proper quest. Wink. Okay, got it. Gallifort fumbled with his belt book and quill while he eyed the flapping chicken. What is it with all these nasty animals? Okay, wait. Let me write this down. And where does this Wink the Wildcrafter reside, madam? Slow down, please. Gallifort scribbled as fast as he could, leaving out the high handover speak. A guide whom you'll not expect will find you shortly. Follow him to Wink, where you'll learn everything for this most important quest. But you must hurry. The land of handover depends upon the fulfillment of her request. Praise the three scribes! Tanna jumped with joy, her sword scabbard smacking into Galdafort's arm, which caused his quill to scratch across the scroll. He grimaced at the undesired scribble of ink. I'll get my first piece of vellum so before you can say, Cobb's a valiant! Thank you, Madam Old Lady Sage, thank you! The would-be champion grabbed Gallifort by the shoulders, making him draw another large squiggle of ink through his belt book notes, pretty much running everything he just wrote down. This is it, Gallifort, my quest, and like she said, a tenacious tale it's certain to be. Tanna the Tendersword, the hopelessly happy would-be champion, giggled and skipped down the street back toward the Crackpot Inn, leaving poor young Gallifort behind to make heads or tails of the curlicues of ink. Stick with that girl, young Quillpin, Old Lady Sage said. She's going to be a great champion, one of the greatest. Here, take this. The woman drew forth a golden coin from her apron. Be brave, young chronicler. She plopped the coin into Galdafort's hand. It was heavy, not like regular arums used in handover. He studied the owl cast on it. What will we need this for? But when he looked up, the old lady and her fat, obnoxious chickens were gone. There was nothing but a now empty wooden crate, not even any sprinkled seeds. He raised an eyebrow, dried mud crumbling away. I bet Tanna doesn't even know what tenacious means. And that's the end of chapter 1. Next chapter is chapter 2, the shadowy fog blight, but that will be for another time. I hope y'all enjoyed that. All righty, so let me go back through the chat and see what I missed. Let's go back here. Howdy, evening, folks. Wonderful Wednesday. Hello, Ryan. Hey, Tim. Yay. Is this a 7-hour marathon of the full book? I wish. I don't know my voice to give out. Hey, Tim, Alex, everybody. Let's see. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I do agree with you. Any questions for me? Gallifort, the crowd cheers. Yeah. Well, yeah, I do have to agree with this one. That's the gray, my friend. Oh, thank you. I should do an audio book. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Hope everybody did enjoy that. Can I give Gallifort a hug? Maybe. Does anyone have any questions about the chapter? Any comments? Some of y'all that have read it probably know who the guide is. Yes, Ryan. Gallifort, Bill revealed it earlier today and on the Twitter or X or whatever they just call themselves today, that Gallifort was modeled after me, and honestly, yeah, Gallifort kind of is, can't help it. All righty, everybody. Well, if no one has any comments or questions, I hope y'all enjoyed the first ever edition of Chapter Corner. Didn't quite take the full hour, wasn't expecting it to, but if you want another edition or the next chapter, like later on down the road, I'm going to put out a tweet and also do a Facebook and just kind of take a poll and see what y'all think. If y'all would like a reading of chapter 2, I did enjoy doing that. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. thank you for spending time with me tonight, me and Galdefort, and we will see you all soon. Oh, link for purchase is in the description. So go to the description, um, get the link to buy the book, and also support our other authors on Willow Wraith Press by going to their website, or to our website, rather, not their website, to our website, but their sections. And we have books listed there. Willow Wraith includes myself, Bill, and we have Tim Wolf here. We have Michael Roberti and Andrew Meredith are all members of the press, and all books are represented. So go and check them out. All righty, y'all. Well, thank y'all and have a great evening. Bye bye.